Games that can emulate the sensations of gambling tend to draw me in, not because I'm hopelessly lost to the thrill of losing everything to unfair RNG, but because I enjoy the aesthetics and sound effects that stimulate the atmosphere of arcades or casinos. The best way to describe it is that it is oddly satisfying, but definitely not for everyone. Coin Pusher RPG combines the elements of an idler and pachinko-style coin pushing. While it was initially intriguing with the base game mode and the optional mode without the RPG background, I found that I couldn't enjoy it as much because I felt compelled to play the game physically when it's better to be left alone, semi-idle. Because of the time investments and the lack of physical engagement, it really starts to drown out all of the fun when it takes countless hours for any meaningful progression towards higher gear and stages. So what exactly is the problem with the game? Well, there are a few. First, the translation isn't great. Since the game was developed by a Chinese team, a lot of the text feels awkward or unclear as if it was translated poorly by AI, making it very hard to understand the phrasings. Some of these things just don't make sense. This isn't a major issue unless you care about a clean format or precise terminology, but is still noticeable and blunt, despite being tidied up every now and again with each update. The biggest issue here is that the core concept just doesn't quite work. A gambling game that tries to mix idle and hands-on gameplay sounds interesting on paper, but Coin Pusher RPG ends up feeling like it's an artificial time sink. I've played plenty of games that get it right, but this just feels designed entirely to run in the background as a full-fledged idler. Despite featuring mechanics and heroes that you can equip, it never felt like something you're meant to actively engage with outside of setting up a constant flow of bonus spins or to take on bosses. After playing for 3 hours, I never felt like I was making any progress. This largely comes down to how the progression is handled. When you first start the game and continue to progress slowly, you quickly hit roadblock after roadblock. The core gameplay itself isn't really that bad, but the constant need to jump in and out of every run for better gear to actually make progression every handful of stages until you reach 100 gets exhausting. Getting to that point feels a lot like a mobile gacha game, where enemies scale so high that the only way to realistically keep up is to grind for another 5 to 10 hours, unlocking better gear to survive to deal enough damage to push through the next checkpoint, or to purchase in-game items. The game repeats this loop over and over. To overcome this, you have to keep playing, unlocking new effects in the stat tree and more hero slots, with perpetual best in slot stats and equipment which improves your chances of progressing. It's not the gameplay itself that makes the experience frustrating, but it's the forced, drawn-out grind that drains away all fun when you could be enjoying the steady progression. So for the gameplay, you just drop coins either manually or automatically and swing the arm as these features unlock over time. Every coin that gets pushed out of the machine adds points to your heroes. Once your hero coins max out, they each attack enemies on the field. If you continue to play while idle, these coins will stack up to high numbers. The problem with this is that you need to stop the machine manually so that the heroes can continue their combo effects. Otherwise, the enemies will eventually kill them before they can even do so. Every time the machine loads a new set of coins, enemies will automatically attack, in between your own heroes, effectively cutting them off from their full potential, which again brings us back to calling it a semi-idler. Each enemy also has an icon inside of the machine, encouraging you to stop relying on the automatic play and to take control of your coin drops to defeat them. By carefully aiming your drops to bounce off these icons, you can prevent enemies from activating their powers for that turn. This is really only a concern during boss battles and when the scaling gets too high. If you can reach stage 100, you will win and move on to the next stage. If you lose, you restart at a previous checkpoint, usually around stages 11, 21, 31, and so on. This does become rather repetitive. If you would like to throw aside this game mode for the pachinko machine alone, it does, as I stated earlier, offer a different RPG free game mode, but there's really no incentive to play it. You don't get any rewards out of it, as you're only trying to acquire 1 million coins, which does take forever. There's no strategy to it, it's just pure gambling until you run out of coins or until you max out. It's not fun or interesting compared to the base game, which still needs some work before I can ever consider it a game for you to pick up. Coin Push RPG aims to deliver a semi-idle experience built around a fun concept, but its poorly designed progression system, lack of meaningful engagement, and the absence of several key elements make it very hard to recommend to anybody looking for a good coin pusher game. I could recommend so many other gambling or luck-based games that just do it right. Dungeon Crawler, Spin Hero, Luck Be a Landlord, Dog and Goblin, and so many others. It doesn't take much for a game to get it right. All it needs is a balance of both challenge, satisfying atmosphere, and progression that can physically engage you. Unfortunately, the game came off as low effort, or perhaps simply not suited to a Western audience due to its use of Chinese references and translations. It's the type of game that I would run in the background, muted, checking in every 30 minutes just to reset the progress and accumulate enough currency to unlock the talent points and gear to move forward. It's that slow meta progression which ends up being the problem, when you're fully maxed out on your talent board and characters, showcasing how it isn't fun or balanced in your favor unless you're willing to sit there meticulously fighting each of the 100 stages to have a fighting chance. After 4 to 5 hours, it became clear that the return is just not worth the effort. This is a game that I would honestly skip, much like how gambling is a waste of your money, Coin Push RPG is a waste of time and also effort.